On October 22nd, Ukrainian forces executed a complex, multi-layered deep strike operation utilizing 10 long-range unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs. The mission involved penetrating one of the world's most concentrated air defense networks, covering a distance of 625 kilometers into Russian territory. The operation's objective was a strategic facility, JSC Radiozavod in Penza, responsible for manufacturing critical command and control systems for Russian air defenses. The operation unfolded in distinct phases, encountering multiple active defense layers, including fighter interception, electronic warfare, acoustic detection, and GPS spoofing. At approximately 5:17 p.m., as the formation of 10 drones penetrated Russian airspace, a Russian Su-35 Flanker-E multi-role fighter was vectored to intercept the unidentified contacts. The aircraft's advanced radar system, designed to detect fighter-sized targets at ranges up to 250 kilometers, struggled to maintain a consistent lock on the drones. The radar cross-section of each UAV was estimated to be 50 times smaller than the radar's optimal tracking parameters, causing the contacts to flicker intermittently on the pilot's display. A Russian pilot, however, reportedly identified an anomaly. The drone's specific propeller systems, operating at a consistent 7,400 RPM, generated a unique heartbeat within the radar return. This micro-Doppler signature confirmed the target's nature. The Su-35 pilot achieved a firing solution and launched missiles from 18 kilometers, giving the drones an estimated 13-second window. In response, all 10 UAVs executed a coordinated maneuver by simultaneously cutting their engines. This instantly eliminated the 7,400 RPM radar signature and made the 10 contacts disappear from the fighter's radar, which was filtering for powered, moving targets. The missiles were now hunting targets that had vanished. The physics of the low-altitude environment provided a crucial secondary defense. Flying at just 50 meters, the radar pulses from the missile's active seekers bounced off the ground, creating a mirror image, or ghost target. The missile's guidance computer, which reportedly has just 0.3 seconds to select the strongest return, was presented with two signals: the real, coasting drone and the ghost reflection, which was reinforced by the ground reflection and often appeared stronger. The first missile's guidance system reportedly selected the ghost target and detonated harmlessly in an open field. As the pilot prepared for a second pass, one of the 10 drones, designated Drone 3, executed what appears to be a deliberate sacrifice maneuver. It abruptly climbed to 500 meters and engaged its engine at full power, creating a large, unambiguous target. The Su-35 engaged and destroyed this decoy, resulting in a large fireball. This sacrifice bought the remaining 9 drones critical seconds. After 3 seconds of coasting, the 9 surviving UAVs restarted their engines, leveled off at an altitude of 45 meters, and scattered across a 12-kilometer front. This dispersion, combined with the drone's low altitude, rendered a follow-up attack by the single Su-35 pilot tactically unfeasible. The pilot, low on fuel for low-altitude pursuit and facing multiple targets, was forced to disengage. The remaining wingman was vectored to the area, but the drones had already used the time gained to egress, successfully bypassing the first layer of defense. By 5:30 p.m. after the fighter encounter, the 9 surviving drones reached the flat, featureless agricultural terrain of Bryansk Oblast. This corridor is known to be heavily saturated with Russian electronic warfare, or EW, assets. The first sign of the new threat was a sudden, catastrophic GPS failure. The lead drone's receiver instantly lost all 12 satellite signals, confirming an active electronic blackout, not a gradual fade. This indicated a sophisticated EW trap, likely involving the Borisogledsk 2 complex. This system reportedly broadcasts 100 watts of tuned interference. To compare, a standard GPS signal is received at just 0.025 watts. The Borisogledsk 2's signal, 4,000 times stronger, completely destroyed the drone's ability to receive satellite data. Simultaneously, a passive system was monitoring the area. The Moskva-1 Electronic Intelligence, or ELINT system, positioned 8 kilometers to the north, was listening. This system uses 3 antenna arrays, synchronized by atomic clocks to nanosecond precision, to detect and locate any emissions. It does not transmit, making it invisible. It operates on the principle of time difference of arrival, or TDOA. A signal arriving at one antenna even 1 microsecond before another means the emitter is exactly 300 meters closer to the first. 3 stations generate 3 time differences, allowing the system to triangulate a target's position to within 50 meters at a 40-kilometer range. 8 of the 9 drones maintained strict radio silence, relying on their internal inertial navigation systems, or INS. However, INS is imperfect. Its mechanical gyroscopes accumulate drift, estimated at 10 degrees per hour. After 3 hours of flight, this could result in a 300-meter navigation error, potentially causing the entire flight to miss the target facility in Penza. At 5:33 p.m., the lead drone's processor, calculating a rapidly decreasing probability of mission success, made a tactical decision. It broke radio silence for exactly 2 seconds. This brief transmission contained a GPS request, a position update, and a formation synchronization burst to the other 8 drones. Those 2 seconds were all the Moskva-1 system needed. Its operators received an instant, high-confidence target location. This data was relayed in milliseconds to 3 S-300, or SA-10 Grumble, air defense batteries. Within 8 seconds, 648 N6 missiles, accelerating to Mach 5.5 over 2 kilometers per second, were in the air, streaking towards the coordinates. The lead drone, however, was already executing its final maneuver. It climbed to 200 meters and transmitted continuously, deliberately painting itself as an unmissable radar target. This decoy successfully drew the inbound 48 N6 missiles, which, guided by the continuous signal, detonated and destroyed it. Meanwhile, the other 8 drones, having just received the vital 2-second navigation update, had corrected their INS drift. With their positions confirmed, they proceeded east in perfect radio silence, successfully navigating the electronic warfare screen at the cost of their leader. At 5:52 p.m., the 8 remaining survivors entered Penza Oblast. They descended to 30 meters and throttled their engines to minimum sustainable RPM, attempting to mask their acoustic and thermal signatures. They had defeated fighters and bypassed EW. The next attack came with no warning. A 9M38 missile, likely from a Buk or SA-11 Gadfly, or Tor, or SA-15 Gauntlet system, erupted from a forest clearing. Critically, the drone's radar warning receivers, or RWRs, were silent. There was no radar lock, no targeting laser. The drones had been detected by a different sensor, the one B-75 Penicillin Acoustic Reconnaissance System. This system, originally designed to locate enemy artillery by the sound of its firing, uses 8 highly sensitive microphones arranged in a precise geometric pattern. It can reportedly detect a helicopter at 7 kilometers or a drone at 12 kilometers. The Penicillin system, like the Moskva-1, operates on time difference of arrival, TDOA. It tracks the sound of the drone's engines, which travels at 343 meters per second. As the sound hits its microphones at different times, the system's computer processes 16,000 samples per second to build a 3-dimensional map of the sound source. The system's lethality was enhanced by specific intelligence. The drone's engines had a unique acoustic signature of 7,400 RPM, a fingerprint the Penicillin was trained to recognize from captured units. This acoustic data was relayed to a Tor M2 commander, who made the critical choice to fire blind, using only these coordinates, keeping his radar off. The first missile launched at Mach 2.5, flying silently toward the intercept point for 13 seconds. At just 2 kilometers from the predicted intercept, the missile's own radar went active. This gave the drones only 2 seconds of warning. At 290 kilometers per hour, this translates to 160 meters of travel. The new lead drone executed a maximum performance climb, pulling 3 Gs at the edge of its airframe's structural limits. The missile's proximity fuse triggered at 47 meters. Its 180-kilogram warhead detonated, releasing 3,500 tungsten cubes that shredded the lead drone. Its destruction saved the others. The 7 remaining drones immediately executed evasive maneuvers, scattering, and most importantly, initiating random throttle changes, cycling between 50%, 100%, and 70% power. This constant, chaotic changing of engine noise created significant Doppler shifts in the acoustic signature, destroying the penicillin's firing solution. The system, which requires a consistent sound to maintain a lock, was rendered ineffective. A third missile, launched during the chaos, suffered a software glitch, activating its radar at 4 kilometers instead of 2. This decisive extra warning allowed 3 drones to dive to just 5 meters. The proposal quickly gained traction, with several NATO and G7 members expressing support. Beijing's reputation was further damaged when independent investigations confirmed that components found in downed Russian drones originated from Chinese factories, reportedly operating via shell companies. Faced with this evidence, Chinese authorities issued a statement claiming private enterprises acted independently, a claim that was met with skepticism. By late October, the European Union imposed new restrictions on specific Chinese defense exporters. Inside China, the repercussions were significant. State-owned defense contractors saw their valuations fall, investors became cautious, and the Shanghai Stock Exchange recorded steep weekly declines. On heavily censored social media platforms, some nationalist commentators began to question the logic of the partnership, with one post reading, "We gave them technology, and they gave us sanctions." In contrast, Ukraine's narrative gained global traction. The government's communication strategy focused on transparency and accountability. New revelations about Russia's supply chains were accompanied by verified data. Western media outlets noted Ukraine's approach, contrasting it with the information strategies of Moscow and Beijing. As Russia's diplomatic isolation increased, its traditional partners began to recalculate their positions. India, which had maintained neutrality, distanced itself by cancelling a planned energy summit. Vietnam and Indonesia reinforced trade ties with the West. Governments in Central Asia, previously part of Russian logistics networks, started limiting transit permissions, fearing secondary sanctions. For Ukraine, these shifts represented strategic realignments that weakened Russia's geopolitical support. As Moscow's partners decreased, its war effort became more constrained. Energy exports declined, spare parts grew scarce, and international financing became unavailable. The ripple effects of the failed deal impacted every sector of Russia's military and economy. Beyond geopolitics, there was a human dimension. In Ukrainian cities like Kharkiv, Dnipro, and Odessa, citizens who had endured bombardment reportedly watched with cautious optimism. The failure of the partnership symbolized a potential reduction in Russia's offensive capabilities. A Ukrainian soldier commented to a local journalist, "Every factory that closes in Russia means fewer missiles above our skies." By the end of the week, analysts began calling the event the defense decoupling of 2025. It was seen as a turning point that underscored how economic interdependence could be a factor in modern warfare. Ukraine had demonstrated that its defense relied not only on conventional arms, but also on the strategic dismantling of an adversary's alliances and infrastructure. The story was not over. Both Beijing and Moscow faced critical choices. Would China attempt to repair its relationship with Russia secretly, or would it pivot toward neutrality to achieve stability? And how would an isolated Russia adapt to a war it might no longer be able to sustain with foreign aid? These questions remained as the world watched the fallout. The collapse of the $5.2 billion deal had triggered a significant shift in military and diplomatic dynamics. Ukraine's position in this changing world order was now central to the ongoing conflict. As of October 22nd, 2025, the new geopolitical landscape was becoming clearer. Observers were witnessing the slow dismantling of a major alliance, a transformation in which Ukraine's actions had played a quiet but critical role.